Okay, last time we talked about hip flexors, the most important muscle in getting over my head and my leg behind my back. Today we're going to talk about hamstrings. If you want a good vertical leap, if you want to play good defense in basketball, if you want to be someone who cannot get knocked down in football, if you want to be somebody who doesn't have any low back pain while you do stuff, your hamstring is huge important in all of those things. So let's talk about your hammy. My hamstring runs from my butt bone, so that ischial tuberosity that you sit on, to my lower leg. Its job is to control as I'm taking a step or running, as my leg swings through the air, hamstring length determines how much in front of my body, and it's the first point of stability as my foot hits the ground. So when we look at running, sprinting, anything where I'm opening up my legs, hip flexor and hamstring are pretty crucial. The other thing that nobody pays attention to in hamstring is hamstring's responsible for your squat. So if I am going to simply squat in the weight room, what needs to happen is my pelvis needs to rotate over my femur, and these two things need to move separately. Okay, if there is a give or a separation between my femur and pelvis as I rotate forward, I can get deeper into that butt. If I get deeper into that butt, I have better explosion, I have better balance, I have better vertical leap. No one is knocking me down if you're trying to tackle me and I'm loaded into my butt. Your hamstring determines that. If your hamstring is really tight, what happens is when people go to bend, instead you see this low back tuck. Okay, if I'm playing defense in basketball and my pelvis is tucked, I am less reactive, I have less power, I have less vertical leap, I can't cut as quick. I need that pelvic rotation. Now I am resilient, now I am fast, now I am strong, now I am balanced. That is like 20 degrees, and that 20 degrees is determined by your hamstring. So we have to have it be mobile, and we have to pay attention to, can my pelvis rotate over my femur, and when it does, can I get back into my butt and I'm not putting too much pressure? A lot of times too, we'll see youth athletes not be able to do this the same on both sides. So if I put this PVC pipe here and I go to squat, both sides of my pelvis should rotate forward at the same rate. If one is tighter, what will happen is I will shift forward into this knee. Okay, when I shift forward into this knee, it increases my chance for ACL tear, patellar tendonitis, Osgood-Schlatter's, low back pain, and quite frankly, makes me a terrible jumper and lander off this side. So this being even, both hamstrings being mobile is super important. We're gonna go back to half kneel, because I love half kneel. Again, if I were a coach, and for sure you guys at home, I would absolutely be stretching this before and after every practice, because the dividends it's going to give you are huge. Okay, so I get down to half kneel because again, it takes my feet out of it. My feet cannot compensate. My body is going to take the path of least resistance, which means it will do whatever is easiest. So when we are doing the dynamic stretch, and what's supposed to be stretching my hamstrings is this forward reach. Okay, so right, we do this guy, and then we do this guy. The problem is when I bend and reach, if my pelvis rotates this way and I lean forward in space, I am not getting a hamstring stretch. I'm getting like 20% of a hamstring stretch. I'm not getting a bunch of hamstring stretch. Instead, my low back is overextending, the outside of my hip is overused. And so now I'm actually making these things stiffer instead of stretching my hamstring. To truly stretch my hamstring in this position, my pelvis has to stay even while I load over a bent, slightly bent knee and rotate forward. That takes a tremendous amount of foot and ankle and hip strength that a lot of people just simply don't have. So I can get a better stretch by coming into half kneel. Now, hamstring, as it attaches, it rotates. So if we get a little bit of rotation in our hamstring stretch, we will get a better stretch. If you bend your knee slightly, okay, so if I go foot forward, knee slightly bent, stick your butt out. Okay, so me just standing here, sticking my butt out, I feel a giant stretch through here. So I can use my PVC pipe. If I have right leg up, I am rotated to the right, hamstrings rotate as they attach. So if I rotate a little bit with the stretch, better hamstring stretch. I am gonna rotate this toe in, I'm gonna block here for balance, and then I'm gonna lean forward and rotate right, come back, lean forward, rotate right, come back. All the while this guy is staying bent. Why bent? Because the minute I lock this out into a straight position, it is much harder to rotate my pelvis over my femur. It's not functional for the sport, right? Like when I squat and reach and play defense and line up in three-point stance, my knees are bent. So me being knee bent is a more functional hamstring stretch. If I am knee locked out straight, what happens instead is I shear through my low back, and my low back does all the work, meaning it stretches and I don't get as much of a hamstring stretch. So knee bent, so I can use that PVC here. I can use it for balance, rotate forward, rotate forward, rotate forward. The most important part is sticking that butt out. You can also reverse it. We know that rotation stretches it. So I'm gonna go knee bent, toe up. Here, I can load it, okay, meaning leaning forward, rotating right. Then I can turn my toe, feels terrible, in and out. Okay, so that internal rotation of my femur loads my hamstring. Okay, so I can be here, windshield wipers. I can be here, sticking my butt out. Now, if you have a really tight hamstring, and it's most likely you do, because again, my body adapts to whatever position I put it in the most. How do you spend most of your day? Students, we just got done sitting in class for 8 hours a day. Adults, we sit at our job for 8 hours a day. When I sit, my hamstring is in a shortened position, and so it thinks it should live there. If we want to release the juncture, so that attachment, and I want my femur to move around it, you can apply an overpressure, guess what, with my fun PVC pipe. If I put this guy at my hip, so where my leg meets my pelvis, and I'm gonna push down at a 45-degree angle, okay, now I push down, same thing, knee is bent, I'm gonna rotate forward and to the right, forward and to the right, forward and to the right, forward and to the right. I am always moving, I do not hold. So this is a combination static dynamic, meaning static, I am in half kneel, dynamic means I am moving. Okay, so we're gonna move while we stretch, but we're not gonna ask us to stand and walk while we try to stretch unless you are strong enough to manage those positions, which means you have to be really strong on one leg, which can be hard to do when you've been in an office all day, in a classroom all day, or you're a growing athlete. So hamstring stretching, super important to being able to get into your hips for a vertical leap, get into your hips to play defense, get into your hips to try to be stable. That hamstring is responsible for how well can I use my butt in sports. And if anybody has ever been here, you know that your most important muscle is your butt. So we want to be able to access it. Hamstring can help us. You can do the exact same stretches in standing. Okay, so I'm up, one leg up on a surface, knee slightly bent, same thing, hinge forward. Again, the biggest problem is my ankle will try to make up for it, and I won't get as big a stretch as I do standing on or being in half kneel. The only other thing I will warn you, when we stretch hamstrings, I want no low back pain. And right now, after showing you that, like my leg is kind of numb and tingly. When we stretch hamstring, we stretch sciatic nerve. We don't want to provoke that a bunch, but you cannot separate out the two. So right now, like this is really tired and my nerve is kind of going. So you would want to stretch that hamstring, and then I need to move around, walk, go do an upper body exercise, do some long strides before I'm going to try to go into a squat. But just doing that now as I bend, my right side feels empty, meaning I could go forever, and my left side is stuck. Like, look at the difference in my pelvis depth which means my right butt is being used, my left is not. So you want to jump higher, you want to run faster, you want to be more explosive, you want to be more powerful, stretch those hamstrings. Same thing. 10 rhythmic repetitions once or twice a day, you will see huge benefits in 7 to 10 days. If not, if you have any questions, if you need help, give me a call.